Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Money Podcast, your source for all things money. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Grant Barra on the line, and he's managing partner and CEO over at Barra and Associates. Grant, welcome to the show.
Adam, thanks for having me on your podcast.
All right, so excited to get into today's topic. So we're going to talk about the advantage of partnerships and building a business. But before we do that, let's get a little bit further into what you're doing over at Barra and Associates. Tell us a little bit more about the company, please.
Sure, Adam. The company Barra and Associates, traditionally, when we started out, we were just a pure insurance and financial services brokerage with divisions specializing in pretty much anything personal and anything commercial insurance related. So with time, we found that the opportunity in the marketplace, there was a huge gap, a need for individuals to have access, people that wanted to get involved in the industry, people that wanted to run their own agencies, to have access to a solid platform, carrier access, and a support system behind the individuals starting their own practice or agency in the field that would allow them to thrive without the administrative work that typically holds an individual back from being successful in this line of work. So the core offerings, right. So the core offerings that we work with, and we have divisions that specialize in each of these areas to work with the agents and agency owners in the field, cover the personal and commercial property, casualty, life insurance, health insurance, and just about any indexed type product. So the company Barra and Associates is privately held and headquartered in Schaumburg, Illinois.
I love that, and I think that it shows that you're being of service and that you're also providing opportunity. And I knew that based off of the topic that you proposed. So the advantage of partnerships and building a business. So let's get right into that. So where do you want to start with that? The advantage of building partnership.
Right. So partnerships in the industry that we're in are more important today than they've ever been. The insurance and financial services industry as a whole is consolidating. What do I mean by consolidating? The larger players are buying up or merging the smaller players, into their practices. So what we found, right, over time was we built a program approximately 10 years ago that allowed us to serve agents in the field by providing them carrier access and back-end support to allow those individuals to build a practice on their own instead of just working for an agency, building their own practice within an organization with access to all the carriers that they need that will allow them to win business every time they're in front of a client. So just about every time, virtually every time they're in front of a client. So what is the competitive advantage, right? So an individual getting in the industry, first off, it's virtually impossible to obtain the number of quality contracts that you need with the different insurance carriers that will allow somebody to be in a competitive positioning offering insurance and financial services to the end client, because there's a lot of requirements that come with this. So what we did is we invested a lot of time and money into developing the relationships with the different insurance carriers. As we sit today, we're working with more than 100 different insurance carrier partners. So what does that mean to the agents and agency owners in the field partnering with us? It means that they have access to quality carriers and quality products, right? And they don't have to just work with one carrier or product, allowing them to match that end client and the carrier's appetite for that end client putting them in a more competitive situation than where their client already is, more than 9 out of 10 times.
So I don't want to assume that everybody listening understands the difference between working with a broker and a captive agent. So maybe go into that a little bit, because it's a big deal what you've done, and I know how much work it is, and the fact that you have over 100 carriers, it's pretty remarkable. So I understand some of your competitive advantages, but I don't want to assume everybody listening does. Can you explain the difference between working with those two different models?
Right, Adam. So I'm very happy that you asked that question. So in our industry, we're really working one of two ways. You can be a captive insurance agent, or you can be an independent insurance agent. A captive insurance agent is a person who's representing one insurance company, right? So, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. So the examples out there of insurance companies that you might see, and they need to advertise a lot, right? Because they're always trying to fit their product with every single person, as opposed to finding the right product for the person. So an example of that would be like a State Farm, Farmers Insurance, American Family Insurance, those captive organizations. The reality of it is, in statistics, right, from an agent's point of view, so it's very positive to be with one of those companies because they have fantastic brand name recognition. But brand name recognition only takes you so far. And it's not like for insurance, people are knocking on your door saying, "Hey, Adam, sell me some insurance," right? So they then have to go out and find as many potential clients as they possibly can to quote and run through the system of that one singular insurance company. The odds are going to shake out somewhere in the every 10 new potential prospects that you run through the system, you're going to be competitive somewhere in the 1 to 3 range, right? Mm-hmm. So, and by competitive, I mean offering more coverage at a lower premium, more coverage at the same premium, or same coverage at a lower premium. So all those are huge wins for the client. In return, a huge win for the agent. So that model was really built off of relationships, right? So people that would buy from other people no matter what. Now, Adam, I think relationships are incredibly important, but along with that relationship comes the trust and the idea that they're going to be working with you and you're going to be offering them significant value in return. I don't believe you can do that underneath a single company model and still be able to produce a high volume of business, right? So in the independent world, it's when an independent agent or agency owner partners with an organization like ours to be able to access many different insurance companies, and in this case, more than 100 across all product lines. We've invested a significant amount of money into software and technology that allows us to be able to input a potential client's information into our single source, our platform that we give to our agency owners and agents in the field. When you input this information, it then pulls from each of the different insurance carriers, right, whatever their rates may be, and organizes it on your computer screen inside a singular program, so then you can be confident in the direction you take with that client, that you're offering them a much more competitive option, whether that be in the terms of price or coverage. So the reason they're able to offer that significantly more competitive option, right, is we're going out to many insurance companies and pulling every single one of their data, so that way we can match the risk appetite of an insurance company and the risk profile of a given client. Because the reality of it is, Adam, you are a different risk profile than I am. And to each and every person out there listening to this podcast, they have different risk profiles than you and I do. So by us being able to match those two together, essentially what we're doing is putting together a puzzle, right? So we're offering the right carrier to the client that best fits that. So we're taking a square peg and we're inserting it into a square hole. As opposed to, on the captive side, all you have is that round peg. So no matter what size hole comes your direction, you got to try to fit it in. That's the core difference.
Yeah, I think that's well said, and nothing against the captive guys out there. It's just a matter of there's some products, and exactly what you said. Some are going to match up with different people, but I think that distinction of broker versus captive is very important, because especially for some insurance that may be a little bit trickier to place, or that may have some different nuances in their risk profile of the client. I mean, sometimes the client thinks that they just don't have a choice, and they don't know that there's an alternative to maybe what they've been told. And sometimes just throwing this out there, sometimes the agent doesn't know, right? They may be newer in the industry, and they may not even know the whole broker world exists, especially if they're only a couple of years in their career, and they're a couple of years in, and they're working under one large company. They may not really understand the full world of insurance, because that takes many years to learn. They may only understand what they've been told and kind of in their ecosystem of their day-to-day. So completely understandable there. But that being said, Grant, if somebody's listening to this and they want more information, or they want to connect with you and your team, either because they're on the client side and looking to shop coverage, or if they're agents out there and they're thinking about other ways to further their career, I mean, what's the best way for them to reach out and learn more about Barra and Associates?
Adam, the first place they should go is to our website. That's www.ifsbrokerage.com. So let me make that easier for everyone listening. That's I for insurance, S for financial, S for service, brokerage.com. And from there, you can find out quite a bit of information about the career opportunities and individuals you can contact should you inquire about the coverages yourself.
Fantastic. Well, Grant, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great stuff that you're doing over at Barra and Associates. And to my audience, thank you as always for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes store, and if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Money, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us a review or leave us some comments in the video section. Love to hear what you thought and what kind of projects and things that you're working on. So let's keep the conversation going over in the YouTube community. And Grant, thanks again for coming on the show.